Hey guys, it's Rodimus Primal. I am back with another video, and today I have Siege Jetfire, or I like to call him Skyfire, in front of me in the box still. I have yet to have opened him up, and I have been waiting to do so for quite some time. There you can see the ARC on one side of the packaging. There's Omega Supreme, and of course the normal Siege things to go with it. And here we have, you know, all of the attachments that he has apparently in the packaging. I am really eager to open him up and take a look and see how, not only how they packaged him, but also I can't wait to see what this toy looks like. So sit back, relax, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. And just so everybody can see what he looks like still in the packaging, this is actually not a bad way of going about it. I mean, I know it's all cardboard. They're still using these plastic rubber bands to keep him in the packaging. I'm really going to be curious as to what they're going to do in the future when it comes down to toys, unless they're going to be packaging all toys like this. But I'm going to get him all loosened up, and then we're going to take a look at him. Okay, so here he is, loosened up, and I will say this much. Wow, he is an incredible looking toy. I have him with the Decepticon symbol here next to Megatron, just as a size comparison, so you can see his size in comparison to, you know, other toys, but also because this is like the iconic scene in Fire in the Sky when, you know, Skyfire is first awakened by the other Decepticons, and then he pledges allegiance to the Decepticons because, you know, he's friends with Starscream, and he feels like, okay, like now is the time to make the change from science to war, and he ends up being part of the Decepticon team. And of course, one of the cool things that this toy can do is it can switch allegiances to the Autobot side, which is just an amazing feature, just something, a really nice nod that is thrown in comparison. But he's a great looking toy. He has a lot of posability. He looks great all around. Like, you can see how much detail has been put into his legs, to his back. Of course, he's got a huge backpack, and so because of that, he doesn't have waist swivel. I also think it has to do with the transformation, you know, why he doesn't have any waist swivel, so he can't really, like, pose every way that you want him to, but he has a lot of posability. He can move his arms. One of the coolest features that this toy has that no other Transformer, you know, has, that they added in, is that his hands can be open just like this, and then you can close them, and the 5mm peg opens up, and that's how he is able to hold his gun. There are some QC issues I want to talk about with this toy, is that the wrists just don't stay attached for whatever reason. They always pop out on me. I don't know if everybody else has that same issue, but they don't seem to stay in place. Some of these, you know, the panels and the shoulders don't stay in place either. But other than that, he is just magnificent. He's a fantastic looking toy. I'll say this is probably the best interpretation of Skyfire, and not Jetfire, Skyfire in particular, because if you think about it, Jetfire is almost a completely different character. And when I show you some other toys that, you know, that are out there, all the other Jetfire, Skyfire toys that I own, you'll be able to see, like, okay, well, this is Skyfire. The other toys can be called Jetfire. It's perfectly fine. And, like, this toy is just, I am just blown away by the amount of detail that has been put into this thing. And that's pretty much a lot of what I can say. He has, like I said, a lot of posability. He can move. Again, there is the shoulder issue, and of course the panel issue, but he does have posability however you want to pose him. So if you want to get him in dynamic poses, you can, and I'll show you all the attachments once he has them in, but you can see how awesome he looks. He just looks like a fantastic toy. Okay, something else I wanted to show off before I added everything else. I added his, you know, attachments. He has the attachments that add to his arms as well as the blasters on his back. But this in particular, his chest piece that you can add on, in order to actually attach it, you have to open up these panels here on his chest. And they hurt your fingernails. It almost feels like the old Jetfire toy when you would try to take out the landing gear. It hurt like anything. And anyone who owns an original Jetfire toy knows exactly what I'm talking about. But this chest piece opens up and the head pops out and it gives you a nice battle mask, which I'm going to add the battle mask without the chest piece first, just so everybody can see him, what he looks like with the helmet on. And I prefer him with the cartoon style head, but anybody who has a preference, you know, of course, they probably prefer Jetfire, helmet instead of the old Skyfire face. But I prefer that cartoon look. But either way, it's still a cool looking toy no matter what. And if you add on the chest piece here, it has to line up like just right in order to get it on. There are two pieces that wedge in there, and once it gets on there, that's what he looks like completed, in his robot mode. And clearly they were inspired by his G1 Jetfire toy. Here is my G1 Jetfire. I don't have all of his armor attachments or his blaster or anything, and he's gone through a little bit of yellowing. You can kind of see it there, on his face. Obviously, my G1 Jetfire is in pretty good condition, and it's clearly a Macross Robotech fighter, but it is still an amazing looking toy. I actually prefer this toy without his armaments, but you can see what they were going with. That whole black on the top here with the chest and the red stripe. They were literally trying to emulate that same look and feel from the original G1 toy. But obviously, many people know that the Classics Jetfire toy that came out back in 2006, which has a hard time standing up for whatever reason, is the first attempt at trying to update the character. But as far as, G1 Jetfire is concerned, but this one in particular just does not do the justice that this character does. And you can see how small he is. That was like the biggest problem a lot of people had, and I still had. I also have the G1 recolor to try to make him look a little bit more like Skyfire. But this one also has the removable helmet, which was something that, was done in the Dreamwave comics, but that was kind of like what they were going with. And I think this is the exact model that they used with Jetfire with the IDW comics when they first did their relaunch. This was the model that they used for the robot itself instead of the classic cartoon design. And the first time that they actually released a toy with the name Skyfire, I think it's the only time that they released Skyfire, was the Robots in Disguise Decepticon Skyfire, which turns into a jet. He obviously has Decepticon symbols because this was part of the Robots in Disguise toy line. And I know a lot of you guys are Armada fans. I was not really a fan of Armada, but I did collect pretty much the entire line. And so I have the Armada Jetfire here with his blaster that makes a lot of noise, and his And for one last old school size comparison, this is going to be Cybertron Jetfire. And again, you can see how big the new Skyfire toy is. Now, something I wanted to do as far as a size comparison is concerned, here is Abominus from Power of the Primes standing next to Skyfire. You can see he's pretty much like on par with the combiners. So in a way, is he too big or not too big? Not really sure, but I think his size works, at least as far as the Siege line is concerned. And speaking of the Siege line, here he is with his fellow Siege Autobots, as well as Windcharger and Brawn from Takara Legends and the Power of the Primes toys. The reason why I chose those two particular mini-bots is because they appear in my favorite appearance of Skyfire, and that is Fire on the Mountain when they jump out of him in jet mode. And I'm going to get him transformed. I'm not actually going to do the transformation on camera just because he's a little unwieldy to transform. So I'm going to show him here in jet mode. Okay, so in vehicle mode, I don't know if I can do this justice as far as trying to show how awesome he is, because, man, he is one impressive looking jet for being this size of a toy. And I never thought that I wanted a G1 Skyfire like this accurate to the cartoon, and he just is incredibly awesome. And one of the really cool features that you can do, of course, you can add on these rocket, flames. They're supposed to be like blast effects onto the back of him, so that you can create the illusion that he is flying, with some extra rocket boost. And it is just very, very cool looking. The only problem, of course, is trying to keep these pieces connected, because you can just see how awesome it would look with Skyfire flying into battle, with these rocket boosts. Something else that's really cool, now, the landing gear comes out with no issue, because if I was to do a size comparison of him with his G1 Jetfire jet mode, you can see how much larger the jet mode is. But something else that's really cool, now, if you remember the original G1 Jetfire toy, the landing gear was, would always hurt when it came out, but you don't have to worry about it with this toy. And I'm going to put the landing gear away, because something that was added in to this toy, and I'm going to try and see if I can show it, are these handlebars that allow Jetfire, or Skyfire for that matter, to carry 4 Autobots into battle. Now, if you're familiar with the cartoon, you'd know that, Brawn and Windcharger jumped out of him, but we're going to take 4 Siege toys, and we're going to prop them up. And I don't know if you can kind of see it here. I'm trying to bring it into to focus with the camera, but I've got 4 Autobots on carrying on the bottom of him. I've got Optimus, Ironhide, Sideswipe, and Prowl flying with Skyfire. And if they were flying into battle, this is what it would look like. It's really, really difficult to prop this up in such a way that we can see it, unless I do this. And I'm just going to bring the camera up so we can see it here. And this is what it would look like with all 4 of them flying into battle. And you got to admit, this is cool. Very, very cool. One other thing that I want to show you guys is the armament that would be attached to the back, to the top of him, in his vehicle mode. Now, just to show you it here, I have the blasters attached in a certain way. It's very, very interesting on how you connect this whole piece together, but it connects to the whole, which would be Skyfire's backpack, for him in jet mode, and that's basically how he would have, armament on the top there for him to be able to carry this instead, and basically makes a pretty cool weapon storage, or makes it like its own like battleship that can detach, which is kind of cool. Something else that that this toy has, it's kind of like a hidden feature that you don't really see advertised, is that the cockpit itself can open and remove this one piece right here. It is a challenge to get out on camera, but there we go. And you can put a Titan Master in there, and he can sit in there to pilot Skyfire as you see fit. And it is a small little piece. I'm not sure if this is supposed to go to something else, but I think I'm just going to leave this within the cockpit. It is one thing that if you don't read the instructions like I don't, you probably don't know if they did advertise the actual feature. Now, once again, if you either call him Jetfire or Skyfire, he is still a magnificent toy. I definitely recommend him if you are a fan of the character. I know his price point might be off-putting to some, especially considering, how big of a toy he is, but I honestly definitely recommend him. I think that we finally got Skyfire, as a toy, because the original G1 toy was Jetfire. This is Skyfire. But I want to know what you guys think. What do you think of this toy review? What do you think of the, Siege Jetfire Skyfire toy? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Thumbs up this video if you like it. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and check out my other videos as well. I have a brand new Transformers discussion video coming this week, so stay tuned for that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.